and good afternoon, India, and all the countries joining the session. Thanks for joining us at the APAC Webinar Week Financial Services track. I'm Jonathan Rolt, and I'm here to talk to you about security in AWS for financial services. In this talk, we will cover the shared AWS and you, the AWS compliance and assurance program, these security services that you can leverage in your environment, and how the ecosystem built by the AWS professional services and AWS partners can assist you along this journey, started or you're already deep into it. So first, let's put some context in this talk. AWS is offering over 70 services to its customer across 14 geographical regions. Those services can be used by your team to support virtual. Seeing AWS as only building because with the service partners network, including tens of thousands of consulting, system integrators, and technology ISVs partners, we can provide your final solution as well. AWS has been expanding its services, and it now has more than 70 services ranging from compute, storage, networking, database, analytics, application services, deployment management, and mobile. Take, for example, our enterprise application. A large enterprise like Johnson & Johnson, which has over 100 applications in the AWS cloud. At Johnson & Johnson launched more than 25,000 cloud-based virtual desktops for its consultants and employees. To leverage those services, the AWS cloud infrastructure is built around region and availability zone, called sometimes AZs. Our region is a physical location in the world where we have multiple availability zones. An availability zone consists of a cluster of data centers, each with redundant power, networking, and connectivity housed in a separate facility. These availability zones offer you the ability to operate production application and database with high availability, fault tolerance, and scalability that would not be possible in a single data center. AWS Cloud operates 38 availability zones within 14 geographical regions across the world, with 4 other regions coming up through the next year in France, Canada, China, and United Kingdom. To meet certain regulatory or legal obligation, customer may have to know where the data is at any time. AWS allows which of the region they want to use specifically, and giving them confidence where the compute and storage assets are. So if you want to put your data only in India, you can. You can choose to use any AWS region. AWS doesn't make any secondary use of your content. You manage your privacy objective any way that you want. You keep your data in the format that you want. You move it or delete it at any time. There is no automatic replication of data outside an AWS region. And finally, customers choose how they encrypt their content. They can use either AWS supplied encryption or use your own. The choice to leverage AWS services and its global infrastructure has been made by many financial services worldwide. This slide represents a sample set of those customers, which include leading universal banks, investment banks, global exchange groups, asset management organizations, market-leading provider of industry technology platform, leader insurance, global cloud service companies, and last but not least, regulatory agencies. Take, for example, Capital One. Capital One is one of the US largest banks which offer credit card, checking, saving accounts, etc. Capital One selected AWS for its security module and for the ability to provision infrastructure on the fly, the elasticity to handle searching demands at peak time, its high availability, and its pace of innovation. So they are using AWS to reduce their data center footprint from 8 to 3 by 2018. The bank is using or experimenting with nearly every AWS service to develop, test, build, and run its most critical workload, including its new flagship mobile banking application. And APAC is well represented as well in the financial industry. Some of the AWS customers are represented here, which include leading banks, other exchanges groups, asset management organizations, etc. I'd like to share just quickly about DBS Bank. DBS Bank released a statement. The bank envisages to extend its usage of AWS over time and may shift up to 50% of its compute workload to the cloud within a 2-year period. This will result in a dramatic cost saving, increased resilience, and the ability to rapidly respond to customer demand. So security is job zero. It is the foundation of our business because our customers demand it and because we won't have a business if we don't do it well. Some people say, well, it's the cloud, it's different, unusual, or something entirely new. Not true at all. At least not true through the lens of security that we are looking at. It encompasses very familiar pieces, physical security, network security, system security, etc., that you already use in your own on-premise environment. The only difference is quite often we provide you a much better visibility on what's going on in your environment through our API-driven technology. So with AWS, we operate together under a shared responsibility model that makes us responsible from the hypervisor down to the physical, and you from the operating system up, which put our respective attention on what we know best. The AWS infrastructure is custom built for the cloud, with all elements designed to intercommunicate well and present the smallest attack surface possible. In addition, the physical security control present in our data center has been designed to be the most stringent in the world. This pursuit has led to AWS being trusted by governments, military organizations, global banks, healthcare institutions, and other high-sensitivity organizations. Finally, our security team is monitoring the infrastructure all day, every day, and is well connected with all major security watchdog groups and vendors to ensure that potential threats are immediately identified. And they are doing this at a massive scale, which is something that sets the AWS security organization apart. By looking across more than 1 million active accounts each month running virtually every conceivable type of workload, we can see issues that may only occur once in a billion operations multiple times a day. And when we remediate the issue or deliver a new service, it benefits to all our customers at once. So an important part of the AWS platform is that security is a shared responsibility. So let's talk about how AWS customer can build on the AWS cloud. AWS is doing the heavy lifting to let you focus on what is the most valuable to your business. AWS is responsible of the security of the cloud. Every customer is running on the same platform. So if you're either Netflix or Commonwealth Bank of Australia, all our customers get the same access to the same level of security from. But it's quite likely that an online media company and financial security policies and requirements. So we enable them to implement their own security. Customers got to make decisions for the security in the cloud. For certain compliance requirements, you might require an additional layer of protection between the service and your operating system and platform, where your application and data reside. You can impose additional controls such as protection of data transit or introduce a layer of opacity between the service from AWS and your platform. This opacity layer can include data encryption, data integrity authentication, software and data signing, secure timestamping, and more. AWS provides technologies you can implement to protect data at rest and in transit. Alternatively, you might introduce your own data protection tool or leverage AWS partner offering. Understanding who is responsible for what is critical to ensure that your data stored on AWS and system running in AWS Cloud are secure. So let's talk about compliance and our insurance programs. The AWS platform, region, and services are constantly audited by trusted third-party auditor on our security control and the way we manage risk in our environment. Those rigorous and independent audits are here to give our customer comfort. AWS team is putting significant amount of effort to consistently improve our security baseline, where the customer can start to build upon. We do this because our customer cares and we are constantly improving our security posture. So with 1 million active customers, 190 countries, they speak different languages and different security languages depending on the regulation they are subject to. We speak those languages through international standards like ISO, as well specific like the MTCS in Singapore, which give you the additional confidence that you can store and process highly confidential data. For example, SOC, we are audited every 6 months by a Tier 1 audit firm. SOC 1 covers the description and external audit on how AWS defines controls and objectives, and SOC 2 how AWS controls meet the AICPA security and availability principle criteria. The report for SOC, but as well the PCI package, are available under NDA for customers or potential customers, so you can use them as part of your due diligence. Now we covered how AWS does security and how we give assurance to our customer that we do it well. Let's talk about the security services that our customer may use in order to improve the security posture and comply to particularly regulatory requirements. So to protect your application, AWS invests in a broad portfolio of security, identity, and management tools to help ensure that you can move quickly while staying secure. On the networking aspect, Amazon VPC or Amazon Virtual Private Cloud lets you provision a logically isolated section of the Amazon Web Services Cloud, where you can launch AWS resources in a virtual network that you define. AWS WAF is a web application firewall that helps you to protect your web application for common web exploits that could affect application availability, compromise security, or consume excessive resources. We provide a wide array of solutions around encryption. We have AWS Key Management Service, or KMS, which is a managed service that makes it easy for you to create and control the encryption keys used to encrypt your data. AWS Cloud HSM is a service that helps you to meet corporate, contractual, or regulatory compliance requirements for data security by using an AWS Security Module appliance. We provide as well identity management solutions. So for example, AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM, it enables you to securely control access to AWS services and resources for your users. You can integrate this solution with your on-prem directory because we support SAML 2.0, which is a very well-known and well-supported protocol. And that's allow you to federate and integrate your identity between most major identity management solutions. On the compliance piece, we provide solutions to help you to meet your regulatory requirements. For example, on the audit standpoint, we provide AWS CloudTrail, which is a web service that's recalled AWS API call for your account and deliver log files for you. You can then analyze them and process them the way you want. AWS Config is another service that allows you to provide a snapshot of your AWS resources in form of an inventory, configuration history, and configuration change notification, tunable security, and governance. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into those tools. They are really here to help you to move quickly and stay safe. Let's start first with the identity and access management. Enterprises segregate important duties to reduce risk of accidental or malicious changes. AWS allows a fine-grained segregation across virtually all aspects of the service. So you can do, for example, Bob. Bob can read access on a particular file only, but you can put condition on it. The condition can be that it needs to be connected via SSL TLS, it needs to be sitting behind a corporate firewall, and it needs to have an hardware security module in his hand. Hardware security token, sorry. And you can as well decide that this particular right will be revoked automatically in 3 days. For example, you can segregate who can change network configuration, who can change firewall, who can change how the virtual private cloud connect to the internet or back to your corporate premises, who can start and stop servers, who can take snapshots and restore storage volumes. AWS IAM offers a programmatic level of control and granularity that would not be possible to implement in most traditional on-premise environment. Let's dive into the virtual private cloud. So as we were saying, the AWS Virtual Private Cloud is an isolated section of the AWS cloud. In this section, you're able to choose your IP ranges that make sense for your business. It's segmented into segments, and it's in there that you deploy your AWS resources. On the network security piece, as it's a software-defined network, we harden it in order to prevent all type of attack like layer 2 attacks, spoofing, and other common thing. Another thing you cannot do, you cannot sniff traffic. You can even not sniff your own traffic on AWS VPC. And finally, you got a full control on all external routing and connectivity. So if you like to create only an extension from your data center because you have an hybrid cloud strategy, it is completely possible to have an Amazon VPC only connected through a direct connect connection, which is a dedicated line back to your on-premise environment. So once you define a subnet within your VPC, you can decide which subnet has access to internet and which one doesn't have to. You can decide how the traffic should flow between subnets in a very easy way with network access control lists. So you can allow access only between different tiers that make sense and deny all traffic from subnets that should never be able to communicate, like the web tier and the database tier here. We can go even further. We provide for the customer virtual firewalls that you can put around your instances. So those firewalls act as a stateful firewall and block either by IP or by port. The very powerful thing with the security groups, which make them different, is that you can refer them between each other. So you can say that the security groups from the web layer can communicate with the security groups of the app layer. It means that you don't need to bother anymore with IP addresses. And this is very convenient when you have scaling event where you have 5, 10, 100 more instances coming up on your web tier because you have the next great app. And using the security groups, you will still control very well what traffic can flow and what traffic should be blocked. So here is an overview about how your instances, your compute instances, are protected. And as you can see, you have several layers of protection. This is a definite depth that we provide to our customer. So whether the traffic is coming from an internet gateway, so coming from the internet, or coming from a virtual private gateway, which can be from an IPsec tunnel or from your data centers through the dedicated line that we were talking before, this traffic will go through route tables, network access control lists, and as well security groups. So when you define the rules that apply to security groups, the traffic, even east-west, will be considered and filtered as you like. Every security group is bound to one instance but can be attached to several, while still protecting the instance by itself. So let's talk about the AWS WAF. So what does it do? Of course, web filtering. So we give you a way to put protection in front of our content delivery network, Amazon CloudFront. You can apply in any of our 63 points of presence worldwide using our centralized rule management or based on your geolocalization. Centralized rule management is great, but you need some real-time visibility as well. It means that you need to get to see what's going on in your infrastructure, what are the requests that you're receiving, and what is the result of that request is. Close to near real time, as much as we can. So, given that it is AWS, you can as well automate it through this API integration. And why is it important? Two things. Number one, you can integrate it with your own tool if you want. Number two, you can use one of our partners that's already integrated with the AWS WAF, and it will work directly. Solutions from Trend Micro and Imperva have value-added services for you, like threat intelligence analysis, for example. You can use the benefits as you want with the subscription with those partners. So to summarize the benefits of the AWS WAF, is that first, you have a protection against web attack like SQL injections, cross-site scripting, etc. Two, you have the ease of deployment and maintenance. No need to put a box or a separate VM anymore. No need to bother about the cabling, the firmware updates, etc. It just works. We handle all the heavy lifting for you. Finally, you can embed security within your development process. Wait, what? Are we talking about what here? Yes. As you build new services and roll them out, you can build rule set changes into your dev process. It's kind of cool. Let's talk about encryption now. First and foremost, AWS customer retain control and ownership of the data. Encryption is just good security hygiene that we encourage. And AWS provides services that you can leverage as you'd like. You can use storage services such as Amazon S3, Simple Storage Service, or Amazon EBS, Elastic Block Storage, which allow you to encrypt data automatically, where we manage the keys on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about them. You can also bring your own key to use with S3 or EBS encryption, or you can use our service, Cloud HSM. Cloud HSM, where you store your key in a physical piece of hardware, which is specifically designed to be tamper resistant. So if anyone tried to break in, it shut down and self-destruct. For a lot of financial customers, they are happy to let us manage the keys for them. However, other customers want more control over how the keys are managed and how they are put in use in their application across their data and within the organization. So we provide this ability to choose whatever is more fit for you. AWS KMS provides a single place to manage your organization encryption keys. KMS represents a single view for all of the key usage. It allows you to easily implement key creation, rotation, usage policy, and audit to help keep all of your encryption key management in check. It is covered by our SOC report and PCI DSS, and is currently in evaluation for FIPS 140-2. The AWS Key Management Service provides audit trail information directly to AWS CloudTrail. These audit trails help you to meet compliance and regulatory requirements by providing logs of who used which keys to access which data and when that access occurred. AWS Key Management Service stores your key in highly secure hardened security module. And it's really make using managed encryption easy. KMS provides seamless integration with AWS services like Amazon S3, Amazon EBS, Amazon RDS, our relational database service, and Amazon Redshift, our data warehouse service, along as a simple SDK for integration with your own application, even if they are on-premise. The AWS KMS is highly available cloud-based service, which help ensure that your encryption keys are available when you need them. KMS secure your keys in highly durable storage to protect your encryption keys and, by extension, your data. AWS Key is designed that no one has access to your master key. The service is built on systems that are designed to protect your master key with extensive hardening techniques, such as never storing the plaintext master key on disk, not persisting them in memory, and limiting which system can access hosts that use this key. All access to update software on the service is controlled by a multi-party access control that is audited and reviewed by an independent group within Amazon. To learn more about how AWS KMS works, you can read the KMS white paper, which is available on our website. So here a quick view on how with KMS, it is a matter of checking a box or selecting a drop-down menu in order to be encrypted. Once you've done that, you can have the assurance that your data is encrypted using AES-256, one of the most, if not the most secure encryption algorithm in production. But AWS provides a choice to customers. You can use AWS KMS to manage the keys, but you can use other solutions. Cloud HSM is one of them. It is another solution based on a dedicated HSM located in the AWS data center. And it can be a great use case For example, if you like to replicate your high availability group between on-prem and AWS Cloud because you already have on-premise similar solution. Cloud HSM is based on a SafeNet Luna, which is a common appliance, and if it's within your data center, you can connect them together in order to replicate them. Let's talk about vulnerability management. Application testing is key about moving fast and staying secure. And having an automated tool that do that will give you two things. First, repeatability, which your auditors will love. And second, it will free the very valuable time of the subject matter experts, which otherwise spend too much time on routine security assessment. So what does Amazon Inspector? How does it work? Well, it's an agent which is installed on your instance. It collects a lot of information, stream it on AWS, where we collect it, analyze it, and give you a report of what we find. Inspector is designed to use the same way on how we do application testing in-house. This is not something you do quarterly. This is something you should do every time you build a system. For example, when you're using a deployment pipeline, you should do a security review at the end of it to make sure that what you deploy is consistent with your security expectation. And it is built into automation. Inspector is fully automable by APIs. And you will get record on what was the result at the end of the assessment. So you will have the ability to prove to your auditor that you use, and you can use the inspector output to do so. So as we work with customer, Inspector propose a built-in content library that we update regularly. So every time you run Inspector, you got the most up-to-date information on how to build and run securely your system. So what are these roles that's applying? So one of them is, for example, the CVE. It's very straightforward. So do you have any package installed on your instance which have critical vulnerability? Very straightforward, right? It is about doing it on a regular basis. But we go as well further down the stack. For example, network best practices. Are you using secure protocol? Are you using a good configuration for things like Samba? Other rule set like authentication best practices around SSH login. Are you permitting SSH login for root? Not a really good idea, especially if you are authorizing SSH access with password as opposed to user cert. So we avoid you to use things which are bad ideas in general and easy to fix. We do the mundane stuff like password complexity enforcement as well. So at the end, what does it give you? First, increase agility around process and procedure for your AppSec. Two, your security assessment is built into your dev cycle, something that's happened every time you build a new thing, if you choose to do so. Three, you improve your security posture. And finally, you got a streamlined compliance. Auditors love the documentation they can get out of it, and that you can produce the proof that your security is appropriate. So here a quick snapshot of how Amazon Inspector is looking like. It's available on Linux on EC2, but as well Windows. We present the finding in the priority orders. And whenever we find something, we don't let you down finding the solution. You can go a level down to get access to the detailed remediation recommendation so you can take an action. So every time we display you a problem, we provide you the solution as well. So that was Inspector. Let's talk quickly about AWS Trusted Advisor. AWS Trusted Advisor is coming with all AWS accounts with a certain rule set around cost optimization, performance, security, and fault tolerance. Those rule sets depend on your level of support with AWS. The one having the most extensive number of rule sets is when you have the AWS Enterprise support. So the rule sets are around, does your infrastructure is well configured? Does your account is using multi-factor authentication? If it's not, it's going to come out as a red flag. Do you have any security groups which are open to the world? Maybe you want to do that, but probably you don't want. So we will flag it. Then it is your choice on how you want to remediate it or consider it that this is not a priority for you. Let's talk about security incident event management. So we already touched base on what is AWS CloudTrail. AWS CloudTrail provides you the ability to see every interaction that you may have with AWS resources through APIs. So it's allow you to see who, when, so who did what, when he did it, where was the action done, and where it was coming from. And it's displayed in a very consumable way that you can ingest it within your existing solution. We have many partnerships with different CM provider like Splunk or Symologic, which accept and provide already rule set around AWS CloudTrail. Another solution is around Amazon CloudWatch. Amazon CloudWatch allows you to collect and track metrics. You can as well collect and store logs from a various number of sources. So it can be your network logs, it can be as well your application logs, or it can be your logs from access on Amazon S3. From those logs, you can decide threshold and alarm where you want to be notified. As well, you can display a dashboard that allows you to monitor. So we help you to retain the logs up to 15 months, depending what you decide. And this is closed real time. So here a quick view of all the logs that can be used in CloudWatch, and actually there will be more. It's coming from either different services, but it's delivered very frequently, and you can do action over when you decide to trigger an alarm. And this action can be automated as well. So we are definitely understanding that enterprise has already solutions that they are familiar with. And that's why we are working with third-party vendor to integrate our solutions with them. So you can consume AWS CloudTrail, but as well Amazon CloudWatch or any other type of logs within your Splunk or your Symologic deployment, existing deployment. Another piece I'd like to discuss with you is change management. So we provide a service that is fully managed, named AWS Config, that provides you an inventory of all your AWS resources, the configuration history, and the configuration changes, notification. It's really enable you security and governance around it. You have a snapshot of your entire environment as close as real time as it can possibly be made. But that's not it. Whenever you have a config event, so you have a change within your environment, you don't want to stop there. And we provide you the ability to take action over it. And it's insanely powerful. This is done through AWS config rules. It has the ability to have an enforcement engine that check the stream of event as close as real time and potentially take an action as a result. So we had this customer a while ago. He's telling, oh, I'm worried about this firewall rule set because it is for traffic for a particular customer and we really don't want it to change. Well, with config rule, every time a configuration change, a config event is emitted. The config rule can watch that particular config event, this firewall rule. And if you establish the rule that if this change occurs, you can change it back automatically. And the same thing goes with tagging or encrypted volumes. If an instance has been launched without encryption, you can decide to terminate it automatically or decide to isolate it for forensic to see what's going on. So you can use config rules to enforce compliance and remediate non-complying service. The action and remediation are customizable, so it is limitless. We already provide a large set of those rules out of the box and within our AWS Git repo. It is up to you to use them or define the one that makes sense for your security policies or compliance requirements. So now we covered all of that. I'd like to discuss with you a little bit the next paradigm. Where are we heading? We're heading to the security as code, and that's what the cloud enabled. But first, a little bit of background. In traditional security framework, regulation, or organizational policy, it's been defined by several sets of security parameters, including number of things like firewall rules, network access control lists, subnets, operating system hardening procedures, the use of encryption at rest and in transit, etc. Well, they are possible to implement them into the AWS environment, as we saw. The secure by design approach enables organizations to script this type of baseline configuration into what we call a golden environment. Creating golden environment within AWS can help organizations to set up baseline security and compliance elements. AWS CloudFormation gives developers, system administrator, but as well security engineer, an easy way to create and manage a collection of related AWS resources, provision them, updating them in an orderly and predictable fashion because it is code. What you can see on the screen on the orange callout, this is the CloudFormation templates that define the use of a certain operating systems, certain network access control list, and a certain network time protocol. Additionally, the second one is defined network access control list, subnets, and firewall rules. So if you like to dive a little bit deeper into AWS security services, we provide a 3-hour self-paced webinar. It is free, it's available online, and it's cover the services, but as well the governance around the AWS cloud. I'm highly recommending it to you to take it. It is a very good one. So let's talk about the Cloud Adoption Framework. So the Cloud Adoption Framework has been designed to help organizations develop and execute a comprehensive plan to move to the cloud. The CAF, as we call it, offers not only guidance on technical aspects of the cloud migration, but as well non-technical business and people aspects. It's comprised of 7 different perspectives, and each of those perspectives has an incredible amount of depth under it. And security is one of them that I'd like to dive a little bit deeper with you. We created the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework through the thousands of customer migration that we analyzed, and that we found that was the most important things that need to be done in order to be successful before, while, and after moving in the cloud. So through the security-specific engagement that we had, we learned that there is 10 security epics that drive meaningful results for customers, reducing time to value and building the confidence and capability to move increasingly more sensitive workload over time. Initially, customers should focus on the core 5: identity access management, logging and monitoring, infrastructure security, data protection, and incident response. And then layer into the additional supporting 5 to add robustness. We typically organize the epics within 3 to 4 months initiative broken down into 2-week sprint. We start with a planning sprint and at the end a validation of the capability. The order of the sprint are important. Let's take, for example, the first one. Identity and access management is first, because in the cloud, first you grant access and only then you can provision infrastructure, as the opposite of on-premise. So the key takeaway here is that you can have a strategy and implementation plan for each of these 5 core epics. Along the way, you can waive a lot of compliance validation, security unit testing for each of the sprints, which is going to help you to build a full-fledged supporting security aspect of configuration and vulnerability management and compliance validation. I recommend you to have a look to the AWS security perspective, which is fully available online on our AWS security portal. Here, I just wanted to show you a very typical journey that we take with financial customers when they migrate workload or build a new one in the cloud. As you can see overall, this is not something which is heavy and take a lot of months. It's something that can be very agile and incremental and help you to move more and more sensitive workloads into the cloud. This has been developed in partnership with partners and professional services, so the AWS partners can as well help you to build this within your environment. So as you can understand, partners are very important to us, and we developed a full-fledged marketplace of solutions. And for example, here I wanted to display our technology solution in terms of security. The security partners offer hundreds of industry-leading products that are identical or equivalent with your existing control that you have on-premise. These products complement the existing AWS services to enable you to deploy a comprehensive security architecture and a more seamless experience across your cloud and on-premise environment. So finally, I'd like to say you don't have to take my word for it. We love to hear directly from our customer how they are using our platform and how they benefit from it on the business standpoint, but the security standpoint as well. So take, for example, Rob Alexander, Capital One Chief Information Officer, who says, the financial services industry attracts some of the worst cyber criminals. We work closely with AWS to develop a security model which we believe enables us to operate more securely in the public cloud than we can in our own data centers. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for your time.